Okay, this video is going to be rather quick. It's on a Yaesu FT757GX. This customer sent this radio in. I just completed a full restoration on another radio for him, so he doesn't want to really spend a lot of money on this. He had just gotten this. Few little things needed to be done. The speaker, oh my god, the audio was horrible on this. You couldn't listen to it without an external speaker. So speaker's already been replaced. That's the old one there. What this video on, if you want to see what the front of the radio looks like. Anyway, just a standard Yaesu FT757GX, nothing special. This one's definitely seen its share of bouncing around, so this might have been a contest radio. It's definitely got some battle scars to prove it. But still extremely good working radio. I've already had the PA and filter unit cover off, vacuumed out all the dust bunnies out of here, because they do tend to get a lot of dirt in there, and I had to take it off anyhow to get down into the speaker. So that's all already been taken care of. Need to change the meter lights, but the main thing this video is on is going to be on the battery. This has a lithium battery for memory, and they last for years, but once they die, the radio will no longer hold memory, and every time you turn the radio off and back on, it's going to default to 7 megahertz. So, you know, if you turn it off and turn it back on, you're going to have to tune to whatever your last channel was. So, now the batteries are a little tricky to get to in this, but there is a trick and a quick and easy way, and this customer, like I say, doesn't want to spend a lot of money. So, minimum amount of work, minimum amount of money. But there is still a way you can do it fairly easily and safely without, you know, it's not butchering or hacking in any way. And it actually makes it in the future, makes it a lot easier to change the battery. So I've already had this cover off. Actually, some of these wires are supposed to be on top. I just stuck it back on here so you can see what it would normally look like. There'd normally be a screw right here, a screw right here, and you'll have screws in the side. One in each side holds this cover on. So what you want to do is take this RF shield cover off, and your now to get into this, all you got to do is take the screws out of your PA filter unit, and it will fold back. You can leave all of these wires attached, with the exception of this plug right here and here for your speaker. Unplug that, then you can just fold this unit back. Now sometimes you may have to pull this coax cable up a little bit because it's usually tucked down in there fairly tight. But you can see there's plenty of slack there. Like I say, when you're folding it back, if it starts to bind a little bit, just jiggle this and you can usually pull it up plenty where it'll lay down flat. Now once you're in here, the battery is located right here. It's no longer there, but you can see the battery logo, positive, negative, and the battery looks like the original is a CR, what are they, like CR 1/3, I think. It usually has this little plastic ring right there, because these are solder style. Okay, they're meant to have the little tabs tack welded onto them. Now, the proper way to do this is to remove this board. Okay, so that's take out all the screws and then disconnect something like probably 15 or 16 plugs to get this board up so you can get to the underside to desolder those two terminals. And then if you keep this radio long enough and your battery dies again, you're going to have to go through the exact same process, all this disassembly to get into that battery. There's a way you could make it easy to where this is as far as you need to take it apart. Some people might call it a butcher job, but it's not, because there's no possibility of anything going wrong. It's going to be secured and everything. What you can do is just take yourself a pair of little needle nose pliers, and actually what I usually do is I'll start out with something like a razor knife. So on this battery, you can see there's a little spot there where that tab was tack welded on. You can see that down in there, okay? See, there's a little hole pulled through. That's where when I pried this off, that little tiny little piece of metal is still stuck there. But like I say, what you can do usually is, if you're careful, get down in between that tab and the battery, pry the top out just a little bit, just enough. You're not going to cut it with your knife. What you want to do is get just enough to where you can then get in there with a pair of pliers, okay? And what you're going to do is just kind of roll it and pop. What you want to do is just pop those little spot welds, okay? There's usually 2 spot welds on each side. You can just pop those spot welds, and now you have basically 2 terminals sticking up. There's one there, and there's another one. It's hiding underneath all these wires. There, you can see it. There's the other side, the negative terminal. So now, all you need to do is solder a short piece of wire, doesn't need to be very long, to each one of those terminals, And you're only going to go right here. Because what you're going to do is, once this isn't installed exactly correctly, but I want to get the cover back so you can see, get this hole lined up. So that's right where the cover sits. You can see the amount of space we have right here. So what you can do is take a modern and much easier to find and much cheaper CR2032 style coin battery. Now I buy these things in trays of 25 because I go through so many of them. But just take your little CR2032, like I say, run a pair of wires. It's only got to go from right here to reach back. Solder your wires to the positive and negative terminals on this coin battery, because this one's meant for PCB mount too, so it already has the straps spot welded onto it. And you can just then solder your wires onto that, fold these tabs so they don't short out, and so it's a lot thinner, but fold them, slide this into a piece of heat shrink tubing, and then you can just tuck this down inside there, because there's plenty of room here, right down in here, to tuck that battery. Then the next time around when you need to replace your battery, you can just take, fold your PA filter unit back, reach down in there and pull that battery up, and it's right there. It's easy to service. You don't even need to take this cover off anymore. So like I say, it's not the proper way. The proper way, of course, would be the hard way, which is to take out the entire board. But like I say, in a lot of cases, this just makes it easier to service in the future. As long as you properly, when you put your wires on there, make sure you slide a little piece of heat shrink tubing over, so these tabs can't short out against anything. But you're basically just using those as terminal tie points. So like I say, it just eliminates the hassle of having to disconnect all of this and remove this entire board up out of the unit, so you can desolder those two pins. So there's just a quick little tip on replacing your memory battery. Our battery has now been installed. We've installed the two wires, put some heat shrink tubing on, soldered the wires to the tabs on the batteries and slid on a piece of heat shrink tubing. And I'll get the cover reinstalled here, and then you can see what it looks like when it's tucked back down in here. Okay, we now have the shield back down. You need to tape the wires. I just pulled the tape up and wrapped it around so these stay bundled together. Make sure you tape these back down just like these are here. And then there's your battery stuck down in there now. So next time you need to change this, like I say, it's very simple. You can just pull this up out. You can access your wires and you just clip them off. That's why I always leave a little excess wire. That way, you easily get 3 to 4 battery changes, I guess you could say, out of this. And then when you're done, just tuck it down in there and reassemble the radio. Fold this back over, attach your one connector there, put all your cabinet screws back in, and you'll be ready to go. So there you go. Fast and easy installation of the memory battery. You can see we have the Yaesu FT757GX all back together, and it's sitting on its matching FP757GX power supply. It's a switch mode power supply. We'd installed the memory battery in it. You can see the power light's off and the radio's off. I'd already set a frequency, and the problem was every time you just turn it off and turn it back on, it would automatically default back to 7 megahertz. So you can see we turn the power supply on, turn the radio on, and you can see the previous channel is still showing. So it's just that simple. Like I say, don't need to make it complicated. The battery is safely tucked away in there where it's at, and don't have to worry about it bouncing around, wires rubbing or anything. Now I always use Teflon wire insulation a little bit better, but you don't have to. Like I say, just standard hookup wire. Just make sure you put heat shrink tubing over the 2 terminals that are sticking up, where you pull, pop them off of the original battery, and then put a piece of heat shrink tubing over top of the battery and slide it in behind the RF shield there, and you'll be good to go. And you can have memory again too. So I hope this helps somebody out and saves you a little bit of time.